Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? I'm in the kitchen getting ready to make some chicken and dumplings. And I have got the chicken that I cooked the other day in the crock pot. And I've put it in my kettle. And as you can see, it's starting to heat up. And I only used about half of that chicken in this. Probably if you wanted to make just a kettle of chicken and dumplings, you probably wouldn't need more than 2 big chicken breasts at the most. But anyway, I have put that in there, and I've also put about 2 pints, maybe about 2 pints of stock that I had in the freezer that I boiled chicken when I was making it for my husband's egg drop soup. And I'm also going to put in some more broth because you want your chicken stock to be about that high above, 2 or 3 inches above your chicken, because you've got to make room for those dumplings and give them room to cook. So I'm going to put I've got 2 more cans of the Swanson low sodium chicken stock. So I'm going to pour that in. And I'll check the level then when I get that poured in, because I don't really know. Okay, it's going to take both cans, or at least part of both cans. And you don't want to get a lot of chicken in it right now. I have actually taken the chicken out of the juice and made my dumplings and then put it back in. Really, that's a good thing to do, because if you get too much stuff in there, it's hard to work the dumplings. And that's probably what I'll do here. I'll probably take the chicken out, most of it, and cook my dumplings, and then I will put it back in and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. And a lot of times that's after I've shut the heat off. I just set it back and let it kind of cook, It'll still cook even after you turn it off. Right now, I'm going to taste this, and I'm going to see if it needs any more salt or anything like that, because you don't want to put too much salt in when you first start. It likes maybe just a little bit of salt, but not too much. And I'm not going to put too much right now, because I'll probably put just a little bit more chicken bouillon. It's got a real good chicken flavor right now, but when you add all those dumplings, that takes up a lot of that flavor. So I will be right back in a minute. And another thing I'm going to do is, after I take this chicken out, I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of butter in this. It just helps the flavor. But I will be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've got my butter in here. And I've got it's just now beginning to start to boil. And I'm going to turn it down and just let it barely simmer. I don't want it boiling hard right now. And I'm going to put in just a little bit more, probably another teaspoon of the bouillon flavoring. Put it in, and I've got I spooned out part of the chicken. That'll make room for my dumplings. And I've got more chicken out there if I need to put more in with this. But just based on what I know, I probably won't have to put too much more in it, because there's still a lot of chicken left in the stock here. But I'm going to get ready to make the dumplings. And Robert's going to come in here and try to video making the dumplings, because it's hard to watch what I'm doing just from a fixed position. But I did put my butter in, and now I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to add in some more pepper. We like a lot of pepper in ours. If you don't like pepper, don't put it in. You just have to kind of taste things and get it the way you like it. But I will be right back. Okay, guys, we're ready to make the dumplings. I've still got my chicken over here, and I turned it back up a little bit to get it boiling again, because when you get ready to put your dumplings in, you want it to be boiling. Just a low boil. You don't want a high boil. You just want it to barely be boiling. So it's still working. and building that flavor. And I'm gonna try to measure this, because I never measure this when I make dumplings. But I'm gonna try to do this. Now this is gonna make a pretty good batch of dumplings. So if you don't want this many, half it. Do half of it. Okay? Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is measure out some flour. I'm gonna measure out 4 cups. And this is self-rising flour. A lot of people use plain flour, and if you want to use plain flour, that's fine. But that's why you get those thin, flat, chewy dumplings. If you want the fluffier dumplings, you've got to use self-rising flour. Okay, we're getting it there. Taking me a little bit, but... And when I get this ready, Robert's going to come stir for me, because my neck has been giving me some fits today. It's not wanting me to do anything much. Okay, I'm going to make a little well out in this to pour my oil. And I'm only going to use 1/4 cup of oil. If you want to use butter, melt 1/4 cup of butter. You know, if you'd rather have butter in your dumplings, as long as you've got some kind of fat base, okay? You don't want to put a lot of oil, because then they're going to break apart if you put too much oil. Okay, and I've got 2 cups of milk out here, and I'm just going to pour it in to see how much we need. It always varies from time to time, but I'm going to pause you right now, and I'm going to let Robert come over here, and he's going to do this part for me. Okay, Robert is ready to start stirring. We're going to add milk little by little till we get it to the consistency that we want it. Okay, go ahead and pour some milk in, Robert. Just pour about, that's enough right now. Just about a cup, and kind of stir it and see how that... And I finally remembered to use my dough whisk today, which makes it a lot better. You don't want to stir it a lot, honey. You just want to mix it. We're not trying to mix it up. Okay. And you don't want this dough really dry, but I've got to get it to where I can knead it. Okay, it's going to take more. And you just keep working it around until we get it all incorporated into the flour and the oil and stuff. Some people put eggs in their dumplings. I don't. I just never have. I just never did see that with my mom and my grandmother. I always watched them make dumplings, and that's just not the way they ever made them, so I guess that's why I don't. Okay, he's got it pretty much. Just when he gets it mixed up a little bit more there, then I'm going to turn it out on the... I just put down a piece of freezer paper and turned the slick side up. I taped it down with masking tape. You can tell I'm a country cook. And then when I'm finished, I just fold all this up and throw it in the garbage. Okay, he's got it to where it needs to be. So I'm going to let him come back over here. Okay, now inside the bowl, I'm going to put a little bit of flour on it so I can kind of knead it around. I didn't put a lot. If you want to get over here where you can see what I'm doing, honey. I'm just going to knead the dough a little bit. I get it kind of on one side. This is what causes your dumplings to either hold together, a lot of it, or fall apart. You have to knead the dough. You just push it down, turn it, pull it over. You keep pulling up from the bottom. And I do this about 3 or 4 times. I go all the way around till that dough starts pushing back. I don't want it to just spring in. I want it to push back at me. Have resistance, I guess you could call it. Okay, it's kind of getting there. So we're going to take this out and put it on the... Now. Okay, now we're going to put a little bit of flour here on the... And we're going to make a pretty good little area because we're going to roll this out pretty thin. Okay? Okay, now let me get that out. And there, let me set my bowl over here. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top of it. Now, I'm going to get my rolling pin. And we're going to start rolling. You roll this way. And you got to watch and roll that way. And I'm going to roll back this way. Roll the edges because they will be too thick if you don't watch. You'll have uneven dumplings and they won't cook even. So you got to try to get them all out. And if the flour goes off of the edge here onto my counter, that won't hurt anything. I just want it to where I can get it out here and so you can see how much this is making for 4 cups of flour. If you don't want this much, don't make this much. Okay, now, let me get my knife here, if I can get a hold of it without getting everything else nasty. I'll dip it in my flour. I usually like to start at an edge, like this, and you cut it in lines about 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to cut this, start right here, and I make them about, you can see about how long I make them. I don't know, a couple inches, 3 inches maybe. And I'll cut all the way across now. Okay, let's cut this one. Now, we're going to pick some of these up. You lay a bunch on your hand like this. And you go over here. And you put them in the water. I'm going to put a bunch on my hand here. And you'll need a spoon when you start putting these in because you got to kind of spread them apart because they want to clump together, but you don't want them to do that right now. Okay, we're going to put some in. Okay. Now, you can see that my, if you look down here close, Robert, you can tell that that's just barely simmering. It's just barely boiling. And that's the way I want it to do right now. And I'm going to put my dumplings in. Whoop! Dropped one. Turned up just a little bit. Now I'm going to get some more of my dumplings. Try to get as many as I can. When they start warming up, they start getting hard to do anything with. So you gotta kind of work fast here. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit because it's not boiling hardly enough. It starts cooling when you start putting the dumplings in, so you might have to adjust your temperature just a little bit. See, here it's kind of sticking together, so I don't want it to do that. I want to let that go down in there. So now let me get some more. This is the time-consuming part. So you just have to be patient, and unless you got somebody helping you. Okay. Sometimes used to I would make one of my daughters come and hold the dumplings apart so I could put more in. You have to make room for more dumplings. Some of them wants to stick together there just a little bit. Now you push them down in here gently. Don't ever try to stir these because it's not going to work out good if you do. Still turning my heat up just a little bit because it's not boiling hardly enough. I'm going to get me a paper plate here to lay some on so I can kind of maneuver things with so I can move the dumplings around. That one's just a little thick, so I'll tear him apart. Okay, now let me roll this out just a little bit more. And we're going to cut just a little bit. Okay. I hear my dumplings boiling over there. Okay, now they're cropping up just a little bit. So I'm gonna, and this is what I mean about spreading your dumplings apart. You have to kind of move it to the side and give yourself room to put the dumplings down in there. Just be easy doing it. Put some here in the middle. And if you look, these dumplings are fluffy. They're not hard, lumpy things. And you just got to be real easy with them while they cook. Okay, let me get a few more. I know this seems like it's taking a long time, but basically you can see what I'm doing. And we'll pause it here for just a second while I put some more dumplings in, because you all kind of get the gist of it now, I think. And when you get your dumplings in, let them cook for about 5 minutes. You'll be able to tell that they're done. Put a lid on them and let them just simmer and cook. Okay? So we'll pause right here and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, you can see the dumplings are cooking. Mine's almost done, so they're cooking just a little bit faster than I want them to. But you can see they're pretty much done. Doesn't take them very long. And you get big fluffy dumplings. So in a few minutes, I'm going to put my chicken back in here gently. And then I'm just going to turn it off and let it set. And it'll be ready to eat. So I hope you all try to make you some dumplings. I hope that was a little bit easier to understand. It's not hard. It's just practice. It just takes practice doing it and learning how to not cook it too fast. But, you know, it takes about 5 minutes for the dumplings to get done. Once you get them all in there, put a lid on them and just let them boil. Don't disturb them anymore. And then you can add your chicken back in and it's fine. So I hope you all try it and hope you all have a good day. Bye. Okay, guys, there's the chicken and dumplings. I added more chicken in. And it's got quite a few dumplings. It's got lots of good juice that's good to sop up your cornbread with. So, you all try you some chicken and dumplings.